This is such a good topic. I love this topic. So, I only work hard when I'm in a bad spot. Um, that also applied for me in the past, right? I'm an Asian person. I grew up in Korea, therefore, well, I shouldn't say it like that. The time I'm born in '87, so the time I grew up, I also was not raised in the capital city of Korea. So I was in the southern port city of Busan. So growing up in a non-capital city, there was a lot of physical violence at school, by the students and the teachers, right? Some teachers used sticks, some just used their hands and fists. It was pretty bad. But anyway, that brought a lot of pressure onto, oh my god, I need to perform. And that is just like, I just counted school, but at home, a lot of my friends went through violence at home, right? Because their grades were bad. They weren't doing that well at school, and so guess what? You go home, happens all the time. But things have gotten a lot better in that department. But anyway, so the kids naturally study a lot when there's violence involved. But then the moment they hit adolescence and then they get a little bit bigger than their parents so they can't like beat the shit out of the kids like they used to, now there's nothing at stake. So you have no reason to study, right? So I also operated for a very long time like this. I was in a bad spot and then I would do this. I would do the work. So I get a job and then I say, God, I fucking hated writing resumes and I hated prepping for the interview. And I work in technology, so like I did coding interviews, right? I still detest them and I hate them. So like, you know what? Next time I get a job, yeah, I'm gonna prep for coding interviews anyway, even if I have a job. Guess what? I don't. Why? Because I have a job already, right? That's just how the mind works. So, while this is understandable, and what's the most common type of advice that you get in situations like this? Oh, like you have to develop a system where you motivate yourself without the negative consequences because it's gonna, stress you out. Okay, that's all good, right? But the how my approach as a coach is a little bit different from the traditional approach of like come up with alternative ways is ultimately, right? Right now, you're depending on the bad spots in order for you to do something, right? That's dependence. That means you're not in charge of your life, as in, you don't get to decide what you do or don't do. Whether there's a bad spot or not is the determining factor in whether you do something or not, right? So you're not in complete charge of your life. You say you want to do something, but then if there's not a bad spot, you depend on the bad spot to do something. That's dependency. I hate dependency. So, the traditional way, the common way to work around the situation is create other types of motivation. But that is just moving the target of dependency. So now you just depend on motivation, which is much better than depending on being in bad spots. But still, it doesn't change the fact that you depend on something, right? What if you're not motivated? And also, same motivation tactic over and over, you get used to it, right? So that means you need to continuously come up with new approaches to motivate yourself. That is the same problem, but you are just moving it onto a different target. And again, I have an allergic reaction. I hate dependency, right? I want to be in charge of my life. I want to be able to make the call on whether I do something or not. So that is the ability I cultivate in my clients, right? That is the ability I want to cultivate in my students. You have to be in charge of your life. That means if you decide to do something, you do it even if you don't want to do it. If you decide to not do something, you do not do it even when you want to do it, right? But the hard part is, so this all sounds good, right? But the hard part is, it's so simple, but it's much easier said than done. Because why? We can't bear to stand the feeling bad because the feelings mean so much to us. So, that is ultimately where I come into play. I untangle your thoughts, I untangle your feelings, help you understand why you might be feeling like in some way, but in the end, do you need this kind of thing? Do you need to understand where all of your feelings came from? I'll give you a spoiler alert. It probably comes from your parents. So, do you need to understand it? If you're a scholar, if you're, like reverse psychoanalyzing everything, yeah, I guess it benefits you. But it's not required for you to understand everything to do something. If you're gonna quit smoking, yeah, understanding the rationale behind you wanting to smoke and the, mechanics of how people quit substance addictions, it helps. But all you need to do in quitting smoking is just not smoke, right? But again, this is so much easier said than done. So what I'm trying to say is, do you need support? No. Because that would effectively mean that I'm pushing another dependency on you, right? I'm not interested in doing that. But if it is hard, it's very important to find a coach. It's important to find a therapist who is going to get you free from this chain of dependency so that you can graduate from therapy, so that you can graduate from coaching, so that you know what to do with your life. And that, I think, is my ultimate goal. And this is the reason why I love talking about questions like this.